if anyone gets into a pond, a lake, or a or swimming pool, he is gonna get wet. Similarly, if anyone gets fallen into this material world, he is immediately get caught by three modes of material nature. Okay, now the question comes that okay, we this is the material nature we are in. Can you elaborate more about how it is working? We understood how it is working, but who is controlling, how he is controlling, and if there is a way to get rid of it, and how to get rid of it. So we are starting this chapter, chapter 15 today. This is an important. Why it is important? Because the one reason why it is important because we are in Purushottam Mass, and it is very auspicious to read this chapter in this auspicious month. Also, remove our cloak. Yeah. Also, um, in this chapter, we are gonna understand the full-fledged version of material nature, spiritual words, and the controller of all of them. So it's like more insight of what we have read so far until chapter 14. And before we start this chapter, let us discuss a scenario. So what happened? It's not a real story though, but with this story, we will be able to understand the following shlokas that we are going to start from from text one. So what happened? There was a king, and his wife, the queen, and all the friends of the queen. They went to take a bath in a lake nearby. So they went there, and when queen returned with her friends, she started crying, and so it became. And king went to the queen, and she was still crying. And king asked, "What happened?" The queen said that I lost one of my precious necklace and I'm not find it. So I feel that somewhere I dropped it in the lake. So the king said, "No problem, I will get you another one. Don't worry about it. I can get you millions of such necklaces. Don't worry." Then she was like, "No, I need that necklace only because that was gifted to me by one of my friend. And if that friend will ask me where is that necklace, what would I tell her? No, no, I need that necklace only." Then king announced in the whole kingdom that whoever will get me that necklace from that lake, I will give him a big reward. So one person came forward, and he was standing at the corner of that at the bank of that lake, and he was looking at the lake, and he was able to see that there is a necklace inside the lake because it's a clean water, and because it is a clean water, he was able to see that okay, I can see there is a necklace in the lake. And he was thinking that how to get this necklace out of the lake because the lake is might be I will so he was kind of making plans how to do that. So one sage was passing from there, and he asked that person, "What are you looking at that lake? What happened?" He said, "No, no, I don't want to take bath." Then what happened? What are you looking at? He said, "No." Then he thought that if I will tell this sage, then probably he will immediately do some meditation, take the jewel out, and give it to king and get the reward. So he was little hesitant to tell him, but then the sage convinced him that don't worry, you tell me, I'm your well wisher, I will help you. So he got little convinced, and he said, so that the king has announced that whoever will get him the necklace of his wife, he will give good reward. And I can see the necklace right there in the lake, but I'm thinking how to go there. It might be deep, so how to get out of necklace out of this lake? So sage said, "Okay, no problem. I'll get you this necklace. Let me see." And the sage closed his eyes, get into meditation for 2 minutes, then opened the eyes, and then he started climbing at the nearby tree at the bank of the lake. And he climbed at the top of the tree, and the necklace was hanging right there on one of the branches. Took the necklace and gave it back to that person. He said, "Okay, you could take this necklace and get the reward." But wait a minute. what were you looking at? He said, I was looking at the necklace inside the lake. But now I'm realizing it was just an image. So the sage told him that a crow, because when the queen came to take the bath, a crow came there and he took that necklace and the crow placed that necklace on that tree. So, but on the reflection of that necklace was the one that guy was looking in the lake. You understood the point, right? So this person was got illusioned. Similarly, this chapter we will see how we get illusioned in this world. So the reality is somewhere else, but like this person was looking at the perverted reflection of that necklace. Similarly, the reality is somewhere else, but we look at the perverted reflections here in this world. So remember this story, and we are going to start our chapter today. Text 1. Shri Bhagavan Vacha ऊर्ध्वं मूलं मधः शाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययं छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्. Vedvit means he is the actual knower. So let me take my pen out of this laptop. Yeah. So Vedvit means he is the actual knower, but knower of what? Saying Urdhva Moolam Madha Shakham Ashwatham. See what it means they are talking about a banyan tree. As you see in this image, they are talking about a banyan tree. What kind of banyan tree? They are saying the quality of this banyan tree is its Ud Moolam. Moolam means root and Ud means above. Its roots are above and Shakham Adha Shakham. Adha Shakham means the branches are downwards. And Prahu Avyayam. So Avyayam means this is this will stay. This stays longer time. It means it comes and it goes, it comes and goes. But it's like forever it's here. And Chandasi Yasya Parnani. Chandasi means the Vedas. Yasya Parnani means leaves of this tree. So they're saying the leaves of this tree are like Vedas. And Yastam Veda Sa Vedvid. The one who knows everything. He is the actual knower. Let's see the translation. So in the translation, Prabhupada tells, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So remember this, Krishna is not yet telling about the upper part of it. We are only discussing the lower part of this tree. Is it like a actual tree? No, it is just an analogy of this material world. So Krishna is giving an analogy of this material world, saying that this material world is like a banyan tree which has a roots upwards, branches downwards, and leaves are like Vedic hymns. And one who knows this Vedic tree, he is the actual knower of the Vedas, which means we might be reading a lot of Vedas, Samved, Rigved, and all. It's all waste. Why it is waste? Because we don't know until we know the real nature, how this material nature is working. All this study is waste. You see in this picture, so here is a tree and there is a reflection of this tree right down below that we are discussing in the first text. So the fruits of this tree have been analyzed by saints as different things that we chase. For example, economic development. We chase for economic development. We chase for religion also. I'm Hindu, I am Muslim, I am Christian, I am this, I am that. These are all designations that we carry as a burden on our shoulder, and we fight for them. So much hue and cry goes on the name of religion. This is also one of the tree that we want to gratify, we want to enjoy from this tree. What is this tree means material nature. Another tree might be sense gratification, such as sexual desires. People run behind, so many things. One of them is sexual desire. And unfortunately, in the world today, we are living through Bollywood, Hollywood, social media, OTT platform and all. This fruit is is like freely distributed, which is so dangerous. Why? Because we will stuck here down below only. Another fruit is liberation. Desiring for liberation by merging into the supreme Brahman is also another fruit that we chase for. Now, material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So, if you see in this picture, reality is where tree is up. But if someone doesn't know about this tree, which is on the ground, but is looking at the tree inside the water, then what would you call that person? He is foolish. He doesn't know the reality. Similarly, Krishna is telling this material world is simply the perverted reflection of the spiritual world. If one is stuck here in the material world, trying to enjoy different fruits of this material world, then there is no point. Why? Because it is just a reflection. It will not satisfy anyone. So, as you see, there are different things. Like in the spiritual world, there is love. The perverted reflection of that lust in the material world is lust. There is no love in the material world, which means if we say anything or anyone that we love, that's not love. That is simply lust. Why? Because we are talking about matter. For example, if a person in a college, a student in a college, a boy says, "I love this girl," huh? Would he say the same thing if the girl turns, let's say, 80 years old and 90 years old? Which means the love of, or for example, I love Ferrari car, but if you given the Ferrari car um, with no engine in it, would you still love it? You can't drive it. What is the point of loving it? So what we are actually loving is the spiritual person inside the body. If that is the case, then that is actual love. Otherwise, there is no love as far as matter is concerned. It is all lust, simply. So the perverted reflection of love from the spiritual world is lust in the material world. Similarly, in the material world, there is envy. But in the spiritual world, there is gratitude, there is servitude, there is appreciation. There is no envy in the spiritual world. So envy is the perverted reflection of spiritual world. Similarly, there is hankering for lust in the material world. More, greed. This is all. These are all byproducts of lust only. But in the spiritual world, there is hankering for love, more and more and more and more. Similarly, in the material world, there is impure selfish service. So there is service. For example, a company is paying me so and so dollar every month. As soon as they will stop the paycheck, I will stop my service also. Right? So this is selfish service. Even though there is service, but there is selfish interest attached to it. But in the spiritual world, there is there is no paycheck given to anyone. That okay, you take this paycheck and then you bring fruits for Krishna. No, there's a pure service. There is no return back. It is said that one time Lord became very pleased with one of his devotees, and he said, uh, "My dear devotee, I am very pleased with your service. I want to give you something. Please tell me." And the devotee says, "My dear Lord, uh, it is your mercy that I am able to do this everything, and I don't have any desire." The Lord says, "No, no, I am very pleased with you. I want to really give you something. Please ask me something for yourself." He said, "My dear Lord, I really don't want anything." And then Lord says, "No, no, no, you please, I really want to give you something." Then he says, "Okay, if you want to give me something, then give me more service, more service, more service." So that's a pure love, right? So they don't. So that's how spiritual world is. But when it comes to material world, it becomes impure, selfish service. Service remains as is, but selfish motives are attached to it. Similarly, spiritual world is real, permanent, but the perverted reflection becomes temporary. And like the reflection you see, right? Sometimes reflection is you see sometimes reflection, right? Like the daytime, you will be able to see the reflection. Sometimes you will not be able to see the reflection. It is night time. Similarly, this material world, um, at the time of annihilation, when when Mahavishnu is exhaling all the universes out of it, all the material world is available to us. But when he will inhale, the material world is now resting in his body. So that time it is not visible. So in that sense, it is temporary, and in the sense it is resting sometime in the abode of Mahavishnu, and sometime when he is exhaling, it is outside the body of Mahavishnu. That time, from that perspective, it is eternal also. But in at either case, it is the perverted reflection of spiritual world. Okay. Let's go to the second shlok now. Please feel free to interrupt if there is any question. The second text says, अधश्चोद्वं प्रसृतास्तथा सखा गुणा प्रवर्धा विषया प्रबला अधश्च मूलान् यनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके. Says, um, the branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. So you might be thinking, oh, you are talking about a tree, even though if it is an analogy, fine. But how this tree is nourished, is there an analogy for that also? Yes. So three modes of material nature that we discussed in the last class are actually the water for this tree. You know, so when people become mad out of mode of passion, so three types of water are being fed to this tree. One water is mode of goodness, another is passion, and then we see ignorance. When the water is this, then people become prosperous, peace, there is no fight, envy, and things like that. When people are in this mode, then you will see a lot of fights are happening. So if the society is getting ingested with this mode, for example, you see movies, right? Earlier movies were very calm, slowly moving. Nowadays movies are very fast. So similarly, food, you see a lot of junk food are getting advertised. So when things in mode of passion are ingested more and more in society, and society keeps accepting them, then the result of them is fight or chaos in the society through natural calamities and all. So these are all the products of passion that comes through nature also. So this tree is fed by these three modes, and we are discussing here that twigs are the objects of the senses, and that this tree has roots going down, and these are bound to be fruitive actions of human society. So you can see in this tree again, this is the real tree, and here in the text 1 and 2, we are talking about this tree. What is this tree? Material nature. And we are here in the water, right? You see, we are in the water. We don't have any knowledge about this tree, which is outside the water. Why? Because we are in the material world. We are here. So we are in this tree. Now, it is compared that the branches, the lower part is human beings, and the higher part of these branches, you can say demigods. And the water, like we just discussed, are like three modes of material nature. Okay. And twigs are the sense object. In this second sloka that has been compared. Now the question is, for the reflection of this tree, which is above the water, you need water to have a reflection of this tree. If there is no water, there will be no reflection, right? So water becomes the basis for a reflection. Similarly, if this material world is here, then what is the basis for this material world? What is the reflection? What is the basis for the reflection of the spiritual world as material world? Is the question clear to everybody, or am I going too fast? Neha Mataji, looks okay?
Yes.
Okay. So let me see.
Can you please repeat?
Yeah, no problem. So what I'm saying is, we have a tree, right? There is a tree, and why tree has a reflection here? Because there is a water. So water is the basis for the reflection of the tree, correct? Similarly, we have the spiritual world, and so you will have to give some basis for the spiritual world reflection here as material world, correct? Here you give water. Because of water, the reflection is coming. Similarly, what is the basis for the spiritual world to reflect here, the perverted reflection here as material world? That is the question. What is making the reflection is the question.
Three modes of material nature.
Three modes of material nature, fine, but they are, they are root, they are like water in the root. First of all, how come this tree got reflected here? They are products. They are products. After the reflection is coming, then Krishna says, okay, these are the three modes of material nature. Let this tree grow. Hmm?
A desire.
Oh wow, I did not expect that answer, but this is the right answer actually. Absolutely. This is absolutely the right answer. So what happens, we are in the spiritual world, someone desires, we come into the material world. That's how it is, as simple as that. If there is no desire, then there is no need for material world also. Correct? So when living entity says, I have the desire to enjoy separately from you, then Krishna says, okay, no problem. Here is the material world for you. And then Krishna gives all the material modes of material nature. Living entities are also transferred into material world, and all the fruits, they are also given leaves, Vedic hymns, and everything. Yeah, there is a nice story actually. One time, Naradji also asked about this. Naradji goes to Lord Vishnu and he says, my dear Lord, uh, there is lot has been said about your Maya, how it bewilders the living entity. You know, we are also bewildering in this material world. No, we are also not very serious for our spiritual life. What to talk about those karmis, though they don't know anything about Krishna, but even though we know little bit about spiritual life, even though we are not very serious, we are also bewildered, even though lesser than karmis, but still we are also not, to the extent we are practicing our spiritual life, to that extent we can say we are convinced, but rest of the part we are bewildered. Why we are bewildered? Because of Maya. And Krishna says, Mam Maya, which means Maya is also mine, which means I am responsible. I am the one who is getting the living entity get bewildered. So Naraji asks Lord Vishnu, he says, my dear Lord, what is your Maya? I want to know about your Maya. Vishnu says, okay, I will definitely tell you. But do me a favor, I am very thirsty. Can you bring me a glass of water, please? Then Naraji says, yes, definitely, my lord. Why not? And then Naraji goes to a nearby village and he knocks the door of a house. A very beautiful lady opens the door, and Naraji forgets that he is here to ask for a glass of water. He falls in love with that lady. And that lady says, yes, how can I help you? And then Naraji is completely forgetful what he is here for. He says, I don't know, but I want to marry you. And he takes a step back. He's like, what is this? But then she says that, okay, let me, I can bring my father and then you can talk to her. Then Naraji talks to her father. Her father says, okay, anyway, a sage is asking for a marriage. There is no problem. You're a nice, noble person. Then both of them, then her father, like both of them get married. And then they beget nice children. And Naraji gets engaged in taking care of those children. And when children grew up, then Naraji finds a suitable match for the children. And then they also get married. Now Naraji is getting old, but now grandchildren has come, and these grandchildren are also very cute, and Naraji enjoys playing with them. But then one time, one flood comes there, and the flood is so heavy, the whole village is getting sunk there, and all the houses or people are crying, and the flow is so heavy that Naraji, what to take about of saving his family, is not able to save even himself, and he starts, rolling in that water and then crying for help, and then he gets fainted. When he opened the eyes, he sees Lord Vishnu right there, and he says, my dear Lord, you came here to save me. Now Lord Vishnu says, well, that's my job to save my devotees, but I have been here only since I asked you to bring me a glass of water. I'm not here to save you though, even though that is my job, but I'm still waiting. I'm thirsty. Then Naradji reminds that yes, I asked you that question, what is Maya? And now I am realizing what happened. And then Lord Vishnu smiles and he says, that is Maya, that bewilders the living entity to satisfy his desires in the world. So we are also sent here to revive our original Krishna consciousness, but we are bewildered. Why? Because we start liking something or someone, some propaganda, something that we stuck to, and we get bewildered in the never ending chase of sense gratification. So that's what Krishna is telling, that we start enjoying the fruits of this tree. Okay, text 3 and 4. Na rupamasya लथोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न न संप्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविमूढमूला मसंगशस्त्रेण दृढेन छित्त्वा तथा पदं तत्परिमार्गित्वं यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूया तमेव चाद्यं पुरुष प्रपद्ये यतः प्रवृत्ति प्रसा पुराणी. He's saying na anto, there is no end, na chadirna, there is no adi. Adi means there is no beginning. Some pratishtha, those who are thus situated. So in the sense there, Krishna is saying that you see this tree, right? We just discussed about this tree. So we discussed about the tree down below, which is the reflection. Now Krishna is saying those are in this part of this tree, down below. They don't know about the upper part of this tree, right? So let's read the translation, then we will discuss. Krishna says, the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it begins, where it ends, where it begins, and where its foundation is. Sampratishtha. Sampratishtha means where the foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. So there is this word called asanga shastrena, weapon of detachment. One should cut this tree, chitwa. Therefore, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. Let's understand this. Let's say there is a swimmer who is inside the water. Now, he doesn't know anything outside the water, right? While he is swimming inside the water, he doesn't know what is going out. So like a swimmer who cannot perceive the outside world, living entity in the material world is busy inside the material world, and he can't perceive what is happening outside, which means he cannot perceive the real tree. The real the real tree means the spiritual world. So while we are in the material world, we cannot perceive the spiritual world. Why? Because we are busy enjoying in the material world, right? Then the question is, what is the hope? If a living entity is enjoying here, so for example, a swimmer is there, like you see in this picture, he is in the water swimming continuously. Then what is the hope for him to know that there is a world outside the water also? Even though he came from outside the water only in this from the outside the water he came inside the water, but now he is so busy in swimming inside, he doesn't know anything about outside the water. Similarly, we also came from the spiritual world at the first place, but now we became so busy here in our own so-called duties that we don't know about outside. We can't perceive the outside world is what. But if someone is serious, let's say, what is the hope for him? How can he know? So this is the way. Prabhupada is telling in his purport. Prabhupada says the little intelligence can help him know about it. So he will think like that. He'll say, "Oh, I came from my father. My father came from his father, and then his father came from his father, and eventually it's like Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Aham sarvasya prabho. I'm the origin of everything." Now, if one will think like that, he can understand that I also came from Krishna. What is the abode of Krishna? What scriptures are telling about him? And then he can try to get out of this water. And this is called knowledge. And by gaining knowledge, one can think to swim out of the water, which means out of the material world. And then what is the qualities of that person? Now Krishna will tell in the next shloka. The one who is trying to swim, trying to come out of the water. निर्माण मोह जित असंग दोषा अध्यात्म नित्या विनिवृत्त काम द्वंद्वेर विमुक्त सुख दुख संगे गच्छन्त मूढ़ा padam avyayam tat. Krishna says, those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association. You see, here we have nirman. Man means respect. Nirman means who is free from accepting, for desiring for respect or false prestige. Prabhupada has translated as false prestige here. And moha means illusion. And then asang means a false association. See, true association, the association which connects you with true self, that is the real association or true association. An association that keeps you in the illusion in the material world is called false association. Okay, so there are three things that is being told here: nirman, and then moha, and then asanga. These are three dosha. These are three problems, you can say. And adhyatma nitya vinirmit kama. Vinirmit kama means lust. So the one who is free from lust, and adhyatma nitya, who understand the eternal, is freed from dualities of happiness, nirdvanda, and who unbewildered know how to surrender Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. Now let's understand this. You see, this swimmer we just discussed, who doesn't know about material world, but there is another swimmer who is trying to come out of it, right? So as he is coming out of it, he will be coming out of the problems of this material world. What are the problems has been called here? One is false prestige. That is one problem here, that everyone is running for some prestige, which is false. So the practicing devotee starts feeling that they start developing the service attitude, and we have our own experience also, that the prestige and all, they look very less in comparison to the nectar that one derives from the devotional service. So like this swimmer will start coming out of the water, he will start looking some light, from the outside the water, and as he will coming out of the water, he will be getting more and more glimpse of the outside world of the water. And when he will completely get out of it, then he will not be interacting with any product of the water, correct? So similarly, the practicing devotee, the pure devotee, will be completely out of the false prestige. He will not be illusioned. He will not have any false association. In fact, he is a pure devotee. He will be giving his association to others, like Srila Prabhupada. Material lust, he has no lusty desires, and he is not stuck into happiness and distress coming out of material objects. And as he is coming out, he is gaining more and more light of the world outside water. So he will understand the eternal. So in that way, if one is a practicing devotee, like all of us, then we become more and more closer to Krishna. And when one becomes pure, he has complete knowledge of the absolute. He is unbewildered. He is completely firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. And he knows how to, so he engage others also in Krishna's service, because he knows how to surrender to the Supreme Person. So this is the summary of this shloka. And eventually what happens? He will attain to the eternal kingdom. Correct? Yes, Devish Prabhu.
तो मुझे कैन वी से जो एक श्लोक है कि निंदक नीदक राखिए आंगन कुटी छुबाए बिन पानी साबुन बिना निर्मल करे सुभाए. तो जैसे आपने अभी बताया कि वो एसोसिएशन जो हमें डिटैच करे,
हाँ,
है ना, फ्रॉम द मटेरियल थिंग एंड कीप्स अस टुवर्ड्स द स्पिरिचुअल गोल.
your association, is it?
हाँ, वो एसोसिएशन जो हमें, जैसे डिवोटीज के एसोसिएशन, इट विल डिटैच अस फ्रॉम दिस मटेरियल वर्ल्ड एंड इंक्लाइन अस टुवर्ड्स द स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर.
Spiritual word, yes.
So there, so my point here is, Prabhuji, जैसे in our day-to-day life, we do get so many issues with either our boss or our family members or with anybody else or our neighbors. So we should be thankful to God that they are with us. because they are creating detachment particularly for that particular part. Like for family members are there with whom we do not have proper tuning. In
Yeah,
that case, it is a blessing for us because we are getting attracted towards more towards Lord and less towards family. Is it so?
right. So as you see my screen, there are two types of association we can divide. This is called, this is the true association we know, right? Have going to the
Yes.
temple, devotees, chanting and everything. This is true association, which means all these activities are helping us coming closer to Krishna. And then there are some activities which we can avoid, but some we definitely can't avoid. For example, um, watching web series, we can avoid. What is a these are not mandatory things that we'll have to do. We can avoid them, but there are some certain things which we cannot avoid. For example, in office, going to office, we cannot avoid. And if you go to office, not everybody is a devotee there. Different type of people you will meet. Similarly, in society, you will have your neighbors and everything. So these associations you cannot avoid. But what we can do, we can spiritualize them. In office, we can spiritualize our association by talking, if not to the devotees, but to the people those are in mode of goodness. In society also we can talk to those people those are not too much inclined towards intoxication, gambling, share market and all, but those are pious people, even though they might be worshipping some other demigod and all. So even if we have to take the association, for example, a society meeting is happening, instead of sitting with those people, those are too materialistic, we can sit with those who are little bit towards the mode of goodness. So, it, so we just try to find our best bet if nothing comes out. Does that answer your question, Deveshpur?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Let's move to the next shloka. It has only 20 shlokas. This chapter has only 20 shlokas. न तद्भासयते सूर्यो न शशंको न पावका यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम paramam mama. Paramam mama. Mama means my. Para means this is supreme. That is my supreme. And tadham means that abode. So Krishna is talking about his own place. Krishna is saying that abode of mine, na tad bhasyate surya, that abode is not illuminated by sun, na shashanko na pavaka, neither by moon. Yad gatva na nivartante, yad gatva, whoever goes there, na nivartante, he does not come back. See, it's not like someone gets stuck for lifetime prison. It's not like that, but it's by devotional service. Devotional service, someone is pleasing Krishna and he becomes eligible to go back home, back to Godhead, which means he doesn't need to now come out of, doesn't need to come to material world again. So Krishna is saying that surrender, supreme abode of mine is not illumined by sun, moon, nor by fire, electricity. Pavakaha means fire, electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. You see, in this material world, as you see in this picture, there is only one planet which is illuminated. What is that planet? Sun. Only sun illuminates, and rest of the planets they get light from sun. Similarly, moon also. Even moon also gets light from sun only. So only one planet is there which is illuminating in one universe. So like that, there are millions of universe. Every universe has one sun, and that one sun is illuminating all the other planets. But in Krishna, in spiritual world, all the planets are self-illuminous. As you see in the other picture, there are so many planets are there. So many planets are there in this spiritual world, and every planet it is self-illuminous. And what is happening inside the planet? There would be presiding deity of Krishna, like in Saket, there is Lord Ram Sita, and then there are associates of Ram Sita ji, and they are serving him. Similarly, they go to Vaikuntha, then Vishnu is there, Lakshmi ji is there, then associates of them, and all of them are serving Lord Vishnu. So this is the spiritual world. Now the question is, how if in our spiritual in our material world there is a sun which is illuminating, is that sun is also self illuminous? So that is one question, right? One can ask this, that okay, in our universe, so in spiritual world, you are saying every planet is self-illuminous. Okay. In our material world, there is only one planet, Sun, which is illuminous, but is it self-illuminous? Then this question will come into 15 texts. Then Krishna will tell, no, even I'm the one who is making the sun also luminous. And then Krishna is talking about nivartante, yatogatvana nivartante. Krishna is saying one who comes to spiritual world, he doesn't need to come back to material world again. So it's like an invitation Krishna is giving for all of us to come back to him, right? So question comes, why you are inviting all of us? So that's what Krishna explains in the next shloka. Krishna says, ममेवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूता सनातना मनसस्थानि इंद्रियाणि प्रकृति स्थानि कर्षति. Karshati means struggling hard, struggling. Mama vansho, I think we discussed this shloka sometime back also in previous chapter. Mame vansho means my part and parcel. Ansha means my part and parcel. And Jiva Bhuta Sanatana means conditioned soul. You can say conditioned soul. So Krishna is saying that in this, Krishna first of all telling Mama Vansho, this living entity is my Ansh only. And Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Sanatana means it is also eternal. I am eternal. My part and parcel are also eternal. But they are conditioned. Jiva Bhuta. They are conditioned and they are Karshati. They are struggling very hard. Let's read the translation. Krishna says the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard. How? With 6 senses, which includes the mind. So in this material world, we all of us have been given the senses. But the problem is these are material senses. And the hankering and the endeavors to satisfy the material senses are never enough. That is a problem. Because senses are limited, but the desire to satisfy the senses is unlimited. And because the desire is unlimited, endeavors also become unlimited. And when endeavors become unlimited, the struggle starts. That's why Krishna is saying Karshati. So this answers the question why Krishna is inviting all of us back home, back to God. And Krishna is saying, here, these people are struggling. And I don't want them to struggle here. That's why I'm inviting them. Yeah, I thought I'll share this picture with you. I saw this picture, and it's somewhere, I think in Hong Kong or somewhere, a cartoonist made this picture. Why they made it actually, they were trying to show that this person is struggling. So poor is struggling and the rich are enjoying. That's how they made it. They made this picture. So they have this, they are thinking that only this person is struggling. They have this conception only poor is struggling. Fools in this world only understand Karshati, means the struggle of persons such as one rotating fan in this picture. But they don't know that this person is also struggling. Right? See, Krishna is not telling about poor, rich, animal, fish, or human beings. Nothing like that. Krishna is saying everybody is struggling. But the problem is because we are conditioned, we see only one person is struggling and another person not struggling or enjoying. So as you see in this picture, people or the one who made this picture, he is saying this person is struggling, but actually this person is also struggling. How this is struggling? He has to also earn very hard to hire this person to serve him, or to buy this machine, right? Or to feed his belly so much, or to have this nice comfort so he can relax, sit on a sofa which comes directly in front of this fan. So like that, he is also trying to live a luxurious life. For that, he will have to work hard to earn money. So no matter one looks materially what, everyone is Karshati in the material world. Everyone is struggling very hard. Then the question comes, okay, why living entity is Karshati here? So one reason we know, because of desire, right? Like a lost child, right? Um, a person has lost his child, and the child, instead of find his own father, he is now trying to behave or as his own father to enjoy this enjoy this world. But if he finds his father, then he doesn't need to do anything. The father will take care of him, right? But the living entity has a propensity to enjoy separately from his father. That's the problem, because of which living entity is karshati here, is struggling very hard. Okay, and how it is struggling? So one reason, one answer of how Krishna just gave in this text, that's senses plus mind. Senses, which includes the mind. And now he's giving another reason. He's saying, Shariram yad vapnoti yachapyut kramatishvara gritvatani sanyati vayur gandhani vashyat. See, vayur gandhani vashyat means like air aroma. You understand? Air aroma, when it flows when air flows, then it carries different aroma. Like if you go in a garden and you say, oh, nice air, you will smell, you say, very nice. We have roses and so many different types of flowers are there. But if you pass near a gutter, then it's a different aroma. You will probably put a uh, put something on your nose, and then you will pass from there. So air is same, but it is carrying different aroma based on different place. Similarly, Krishna is saying the living entity in the material world carries different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. See, it's like this: one person takes the birth, and then he gets addicted to, let's say, eating meat. Now he is carrying that aroma. Huh? And then Krishna says, okay, I'm giving you this body, you enjoy there. Same person becomes conditioned, and he says, I want to sleep more. Then Krishna says, okay, no problem, I'm giving you a polar bear body, you sleep more, no problem. So like that, different conditioning happens in one's life, and then he starts getting another body based on that. So what happens when the soul transmigrates like this? Krishna is telling, shotram shotram chakshu sparsham cha rasanam घ्राणमेव च अधिष्ठाय मनश्चायम vishyanu pasevata. Living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. You understood this point, right? Based on certain desire, the living entity, when he first falls in the material world, then now he gets conditioned life after life, and based on that conditioning, he starts getting more and more and more and more different types of bodies. Like I discussed, let's say there is a person, he gets a body of lion. There's another person, and he gets body of, let's say, polar bear. Huh? Now you see the ear, eyes, tongue, nose, all the sense of touch and everything are different in lion and different in polar bear. Even though the person took birth in the same family, same type of person were there, but because they got conditioned, then they get different type of body. So that's what Krishna is telling here, that the person gets conditioned, and he gets another gross body, and the gross body might differ in different things like eyes, ear, tongue, and nose, and sense of touch. But then he's saying he's grouped around the mind. Why is saying grouped around the mind? Because that's where the conditioning starts. For example, Krishna is telling in second chapter also, when mind starts contemplating on certain objects, then he develops attachment with those objects. From that attachment, lust develops, and from that lust develops the propensity to get. I mean, from that lust, Krishna gives the another body. That okay, you develop attachment with a woman, you like woman's body more, no problem. I will give you another body of woman. Huh? Similarly, one woman develops an attachment with a boy, no problem. I'll give you another body of boy, or whatever it is. But everything, the desire is coming from my mind, so mind remains as is. That's why it is saying mind remains as is, and on top of the mind, and another body is given. So it might look very simple, right? The question is why people are not able to understand it. But let me ask from this group: is there a question so far? Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have one question.
Yes, Mataji.
So Prabhu, you just said mind remains same. So I got a little confused with how is mind remaining the same, because with each birth we are doing different actions. So with each
Yeah.
birth our mind is telling us to do different actions. So how come mind remains same, Prabhuji?
No, in the sense, you see we have nose, but the snake is not having the nose, correct, no? Or ear, eyes. In
Mhm.
I have different part. So the why it is saying it is not the same. So these parts are not the same. But why mind is same? Because mind is as is. So let me explain you. Let me see here if I can write. So let's take an example of eyes. Okay, let me do gross body. I'm writing gross body. Everybody understand gross body? Gross body and subtle body. We discussed about it. Smita Mataji, we are clear na? Gross body, subtle body.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So what happens, when transmigration of soul happens, na, the gross body keeps changing. Keeps changing in the sense a person dies, soul leaves the gross body, and you will burn that body. Body is no more. You burn it. You know? So it is destroyed completely, and the soul is given another gross body number 2. Let's say it is 1. 1 we burnt it. It is given gross body 2. But then the subtle body goes as is with the soul. So subtle body remains as is. This is 1, this is 1. So when it leaves when the person goes back home, back to Godhead. So far, so good.
Yes, Prabhu.
What are the components of gross body? You remember that? Oh, sorry, subtle body. What are the components of the subtle body?
Mind, intelligence.
And false ego. 3 components. Correct, na? So these 3 components, they remain as is. They keeps going with the soul. See, when we say as is, means they are not changing. You are just carrying them. You will just drop them when you go back home, back to Godhead. So the contamination of what we are saying. So this mind, intelligence, and false ego, they gets contaminated when we are in the material world. Contaminated, or you can say you want to spiritualize them from their original position, correct? But here you see in the gross body, when we are changing the body, our eyes, nose, everything keeps changing, isn't it? If one becomes a lion, he has a different type of ear like I have. He will have different type of eyes like I have, different type of skin that I have. So everybody has different type of um, ear, eyes, tongue, nose, and sense of touch. But the subtle body will keep change. Subtle body will remain as is. Only the covering on top of that will change. Is it convincing so far?
So, Prabhu, why I asked that question is, so suppose in the past births, I don't know if I was following anything related to Krishna consciousness, right? But then in this life, suppose I know a little bit about Krishna consciousness and I'm tending towards it. So, is it not that my intelligence and then my mind has got altered in this life more? So, is it not that I will carry an enhanced mind or an enhanced intelligence into the following lives? It is not like that?
No. These are the components of material nature. Na? Bhakti is all transcendental. Bhakti is transcendental. Na? If
Correct.
any Bhakti is transcendental, means Bhakti has nothing to do with this. If you are living here, if you are living these objects here, and let's say Bhakti is attached to them, it means you are living Bhakti also here when you are going to the spiritual world. These
Yeah,
are
bhakti remains there, but then we take how much ever bhakti we have achieved in this lifetime, we will carry it forward though, right?
we carry forward though, but it doesn't mean that Bhakti, which is transcendental, it is attached to these components. That's why we are carrying. No. We
Okay.
are because we have a desire. Desire is attached to mind. That's why we are carrying the mind.
Okay, yeah, that clears it up, Prabhuji. Thank you. Yes.
Correct. Okay, let's move on to next shloka. I'm checking the time also. Sometime, okay, 11 o'clock. So next shloka. Utkramanantam sthitam vapi bhunjanam va gudanvitam vimudha nanu pashyanti jnana chakshusha. So you see, there are two pashyanti. You know what is the meaning of pashyanti? Pashyanti means seeing. Pashyanti means seeing something. So here we're saying na pashyanti. Okay, sorry, I forgot to mention this. So we discussed the previous shloka and now we can say, oh, this looks pretty simple. Why people are not able to understand it? Then Krishna is telling about those people. Krishna is saying they are vimudha. They are foolish. They don't have any intelligence. And what about them? Nanu pashyanti. They can't see. But who can see? Krishna is saying another pashyanti. Krishna is saying one is nanu pashyanti. They cannot see. Who? Vimudha. They are foolish. They can't see. But who can see? Who has jnana chakshu? Who has the knowledge? Krishna is saying they can see. Krishna is saying the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge, Gyan Chakshusha, can see all this. So that's where the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita plays an important role, because it brings one from foolishness to intelligence. Give me 1 minute. Yeah. So here Krishna is telling that Utkramanta Sthitam Vapi Bhunjanva Gunanvitam means the modes of material nature. Gunanvitam, how someone is enjoying the mode of material nature. This Vimuda, he doesn't know. He doesn't know the mode of material nature, giving him different bodies, and he is enjoying these different bodies. He doesn't know anything about them. In fact, he is always confused. So, in this connection, I was a long time back. I was hearing one lecture of a great speaker, and he was giving this analogy which I liked very much. So, I would like to share this with you. He was saying, let's say there is a prison house, and in the prisoners, a PM comes, the Prime Minister comes, and the prisoners are thinking, oh, he is also like one of us. We are also in the prison house. We did some crime. This guy also must have committed some crime. That's why he is here. He is also like one of us. Then this is what? This is Vimudha mentality. This is foolish mentality. Correct? Because Prime Minister is coming because he has the authority. That's why he is here. But prisoners start thinking like himself. Similarly, when Krishna descends in the material world, some people think, oh, Krishna is not God. Even we can also become God. He is like one of us. So this is the foolish mentality, Vimudha. They don't know about this thing. Similarly, if these prisoners, if the prisoners think that, oh, he is PM and we are also PM. We are not struggling here. We are not Karshati. We are not struggling very hard here. He is PM. We are also PM. Why we were thinking that we are struggling here? We are also PM. So similarly, when Krishna descends and people say Krishna is God, then these foolish people, like these prisoners, they think, oh, we can also become Krishna. We can also become God. That is another foolish mentality. But what is the intelligence? Intelligence will think that, okay, PM is in the house. He is the authority of this prison house. And if we can please him, if we can serve him, then he can help us get out of this material world. And by getting out of this prison house, then these prisoners will try to get out of the prison house, and then they will try to become good civilian. And by becoming a good citizen, they can serve the authority nicely. So if one has this intelligence that, okay, I am in the prison house, I am a prisoner here, and here is the authority PM who is visiting this prison house, and he is the authority, topmost authority of this country. And if I behave nicely and I come out of this prison house, then I can become a good citizen and serve this authority nicely. So with that perspective, as a spiritualist, if we know that we are the servant of Krishna and we are stuck in this material world, which is like a prison house, and if we serve Krishna nicely by coming out of this prison house, even while we are in the prison house, if we behave nicely, we perform devotional service, then Krishna can help us get out of this material world, and where in the spiritual world where we can nicely serve Krishna in our original constitutional position. Like a prisoner, original position is to become a good citizen outside of the prison house. But because of some reason, he is inside because he committed some crime, he is inside the prison house. Similarly, living entity, he committed the crime of enjoying separately from Krishna, he is in the prison house. But now there is an opportunity for him to get out of it. But Krishna is saying very rarely, mostly Vimudha. Vimudha Nanu Pashyanti. They can't see that this is how living entity is struggling in this material world. And then Krishna says, Yatanto yogi naschenam pashanti atmani avasthitam yatanto api akratatmano nanam pashyanti achetsaha. Krishna says, the endeavoring transcendentalist who are situated in self-realization can see all this very clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. They cannot see. Here in this word, in this text, yogina word is used here. So Krishna is saying those are perfect yogi. They can see. They are transcendentalists. They are situated rightly. So they can see. Like we were discussing that example, a swimmer, if when he is trying to come out of the water, now he is completely get out of the water. So he is in the perfect situation now. He can clearly see what is there outside the water. But the person who are still inside the water, they don't know. Similarly, spiritualists, they have become perfect yogi. They are perfectly self-situated. Like the swimmer were perfectly situated outside the water. So the practitioner, when he becomes a pure devotee, now is perfectly situated. He can see everything very clearly. But whose minds are not developed? What it means? The minds are still attached to sense gratification. So to the extent mind is attached to the sense gratification, to that extent they are still bewildered and are not perfectly situated. So they cannot see what is happening, what is not happening. Why yoga word is used here? It's not gymnastic yoga. Recently, I saw this picture. I think I shared that also in my last class. Beer yoga, or so many different types of yoga. So especially in Western world, yoga means gymnastic. Yoga means gymnastic. But in Vedic culture, if you see, yoga always means connecting ourselves with Supreme. That is yoga. But some people took the shelter of Dhyan yoga from Dhyan. And the purpose of Dhyan yoga is also to connect with Supreme, to prepare the body, so we can do controls. We can learn controlling the senses, and we can connect ourselves with the Supreme. But everything nowadays is connected with body only. And what happens, the result of that? Karshati, struggling very hard. We just discussed that shloka. But here is Krishna is telling that transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization, they can see very clearly what is what. Okay, next shloka. So we are actually on the last part of it. Yeah, we are on the last part of it now. Last or third probably, yeah. Yadaditya tejo jagad bhasyate philam yachandramasi yachagno tattejo vidhi mamkam. Krishna says the splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of the whole world, comes from me. Now you see that Krishna was telling that my eternal abode, earlier in the third shloka, Krishna is telling that my eternal abode, the Param Dhamam, that is not illuminated by sun or moon, which means that is not dependent on sun or moon. This material world is dependent on sun or moon. Why? Because sun is giving light and moon is giving juice in the vegetables or fruits. So we are dependent on sun, we are dependent on moon. But then who is illuminating sun and moon? That's what Krishna is answering here. Krishna is saying the splendor of sun, which dissipates the darkness of the whole world, comes from me. And the splendor of moon and the splendor of fire are also coming from me. That's what Krishna is explaining here in the 12th shloka. So there are three things here: sun, moon, and fire. Krishna is explaining. Now you see, without the help of these three items, no living entity can sustain. And Krishna is because fire is also important. Fire means digestion, right? And all three things are coming from Krishna. So this gives little understanding to a new person, for example, that he is to depend on Krishna. He need not to depend on demigods, because the power of demigods, the basic things like light, vegetables, all these things are that we need for our life, that also Krishna is supplying. And the digestion, after having something we need to digest, that fire also coming from Krishna. So Prabhupada is writing this in his purport. He's saying that these little understanding help us to provoke our dormant Krishna consciousness. To a new person, if we tell these things, then at least he can understand that, okay, there is a Supreme Lord who is above this material world. There is a story, there was a war between Devtas and Daityas some time back. So what happened that there was a prolonged war between Devtas and Daityas. And eventually Devtas, all the demigods, they emerged victorious with the grace of Lord Krishna. But what happened? They developed false pride. They thought that we 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 won this war because of our own strength. And then Lord thought, okay, let me teach them a lesson. And therefore, he created a magnificent demon in the sky. He said, okay, you have killed a lot of demons, now kill him also. Let's see. Now, when he created that demon, the demigods were not knowing that this demon has been created by the Lord. They thought, okay, we have killed so many demons, and what about this demon? We will kill him without any problem. So many demons we have already killed. So Indra, the king of Devtas, got immediately intimated by the power of this demon. And he sent what? Agni. He said, Agni, the fire god, you go and challenge him. So Agni went there. And he said, I am the fire god, and I possess the power in me to burn the entire universe. So who are you? So this demon, what he did, he put a blade of grass in front of Agni Dev, Agni god, and this demon said, this is the blade of grass. You are saying you can burn the entire universe? Just burn this blade of grass. So he challenged him. But Agni Dev tried very hard. He was not able to even burn the blade of that grass. But he got really embarrassed. So next in the line was Vayu, the Vayu, the wind god. So wind god went and he challenged that demon, and he said, I am the god of wind, and I possess in me the power to turn the world upside down. So the demon challenged him and said, okay, this is the blade of grass which I showed to Agni Dev also. So this blade of grass, if you turn upside down, I will understand your power and I will suicide myself. But Vayudev tried very hard. He was not able to blow this blade of grass. So he felt powerless and ran back to Indra. Now Indra, in the state of extreme anger, challenged this demon himself. But the demon disappeared, and from there, the material nature Devi, goddess Uma, she came. And Indra was like, oh, I thought you were a demon, but why are you doing this to us? Then there comes a lesson that material nature Devi, then he taught them like a mother teaches his children. So material nature Devi said, even I myself working under direction of Supreme Father, and all of you demigods, you forgot about them and you puffed up that you have so much strength that you killed all these demons. So Supreme Lord, by his own mercy, he wanted to teach you a lesson, and he gave me this order that I showed myself as demon, and I do all this drama in front of you, so you learn a lesson. So all the demigods, they beg forgiveness from the Lord. So with this story, we understand that all the powers that are coming to us, even for our own maintenance, Krishna is supplying all these things. Now, 13th shloka, Krishna says, Gama vishchecha bhutani dharyamya ho mojsa pushanami chaushadhi sarva somo bhutva rasatmaka. Rasatmaka is the same thing like we just discussed. Moon. So from moon comes rasa in all the vegetables. So Krishna is saying, I enter into each planet. By my energy, they stay in the orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. See, we discussed this in the previous shloka also. Krishna is saying, aham sarvasya prabhavo. So Krishna is saying I am. Here also Krishna is saying I enter into each planet. You see, if you hold a glass of water, the glass of water is staying in the air until the time you are holding it. If you lose your grip, immediately it will fall down. Similarly, you have a you have handful of dust. You open your if you leave that dust in the air, it will fall down. Similarly, all these planets, they are staying in the orbit, rotating around their axis. Who is making this everything to happen? So that's what Krishna is telling here. I am holding them. I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in the orbit. Then Krishna further says, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehemashita Pranapan Samayukta Pachamyannam Chaturvidham. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuffs. See, what are the four kinds of foodstuffs? Some foodstuffs are drunk, some are chewed, some are licked up, and some are sucked. So these are like four kinds of foodstuff that Krishna is talking about here. Now, according to Ayurvedic Shastra, we understand that there is a fire in the stomach that digests all food. So Krishna is telling that this is the fire that I am, and I am that fire. Because some people don't know this. If you ask them, if even the big scientists, they know that there is a fire of digestion in the body, but where this fire is coming from, they don't know. That's why people always say that our scientists don't have perfect knowledge. Only devotees have the perfect knowledge because they know the beginning and the end and everything in between also. So Krishna is saying that he is that fire. Now, with that, we also understand that living entity is not independent even in the eating process also. Even after eating, Krishna is helping in the digestion of the food. He is even helping to those who are blaspheming Krishna, that there is no Krishna, there is no God. Even Krishna is helping them also to digest the food. That's why we say Krishna is all merciful. So unless the Supreme Lord helps them in digestion, they can't digest the food. So he thus produces and digests foodstuffs, and by he helps us digest the foodstuff, and by his grace, Krishna's grace, we are enjoying the life. Krishna further says, 15th text, Krishna says, Sarvasya Chaham Hriday Sannivishto Matte Smartir Jnanam Pohanam Cha Vede Cha Sarve Hirveva Vedyo Vedant Kritveda Vidam Videvo Chaham. This is a very famous and important shloka. Krishna says, Sarvasya Chaham Hriday Sannivishto. I am sitting in the heart of everybody, and coming from me, what? Smrti, remembrance, Jnanam, and knowledge. I am the one who is giving everybody the remembrance and the knowledge, and the forgetfulness also. So there are three things Krishna is giving: remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. He's saying, I am sitting in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedant, and I am the knower of the Vedas. You see, if you see in this word, this is an important word. It's saying Smrti Jnanam Apohanam Cha, which means remembrance, Smrti, Jnanam, and then Apohanam Cha, forgetfulness. See, knowledge is coming in between remembrance and forgetfulness, which means knowledge is helping to remember and to forget also. Now, how come knowledge is helping both of them? See, if we take Vedic knowledge, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, it helps us to remember. And when we take material knowledge, then it helps us to forget Krishna. It's as simple as that. So it depends on the desire of the living entity, actually, where he wants to go. Someone might say that why Krishna is giving forgetfulness. If he will give remembrance to everybody that he is the Supreme Father, then what is the problem? There is no question of giving forgetfulness. For Krishna is the Supreme Lord, he can give remembrance to everybody, and everybody can start serving him. Everybody can come into devotional service. What is the problem? So what is the answer of this point? If someone says that Krishna can award remembrance to everybody, why he is giving forgetfulness? Can anyone?
Prabhuji, if we do not have forgetfulness, if we remember everything, it will be tough for us to live, because what we have done in the last life, or how we have suffered in the womb of the mother, if we remember that, that will be very tough for us to survive then.
Okay, so that's one answer. Any other answer?
Prabhuji, I have maybe a different thought about it, is that maybe it is the conditioning of our soul. So everyone is at a different level. So the more we purify our souls, the more we get these qualities from Krishna as a gift.
Oh, forgetfulness is a gift, you are saying, Mataji?
No. Forgetfulness is not a gift. But what I'm saying is, like, person who has a good remembrance or a good memory, that is a gift. And then why we have forgetfulness is because of the conditioning of our souls.
But you know, this is in the hand of Krishna. He can immediately remove the conditioning, give the remembrance. So question is, why he's not doing that? Why he's letting the conditioning go? Correct, no? Okay, but good that you tried, Devesh Prabhu, Smita Mataji. Anyone else wants to try?
Maybe because we desire, we want to enjoy things every time we come, and if we remember, we won't.
Able to.
Basically, he's
Hmm.
giving you a new chapter every
Hmm.
time because of your desires. Basically, you're coming back because of your desires. So
So see, that's the
somewhere
answer.
on that.
That's the answer. Desire. Take an example, and I always quote this example so we don't forget it. A child wants to play cricket match, but his mother is shouting from the window, "Hey Ravi, why you forgot you have exam tomorrow? You have exam tomorrow. You have exam tomorrow," and like that continuously shouting. So this person will not be able to enjoy the cricket match. Correct? So what mother is doing? She is continuously reminding Ravi, who wants to forget that he has exam tomorrow. So similarly, the living entity, out of his free will or desire, whatever we call it, uh, wants to enjoy separately from Krishna. So Krishna says, okay, you want to enjoy separately? No problem. I am giving you forgetfulness. I am awarding you forgetfulness, because otherwise, how will you enjoy in the material world if you will always remember? You won't be able to enjoy. So I am giving you forgetfulness. But a sincere living entity says, no, there is something wrong. How come I am dying, then taking word, dying, taking word? There must be something. There must be, there looks like some problem is there. Then Krishna has given Vedas also. Krishna is saying, okay, these are the scriptures. And if you want to revive your original consciousness back, then let me tell you, by all the Vedas also, I am to be known. What Vedas I have given you, Vedas are gonna pull you towards me only. Why? Because I am the compiler of Vedas. I only compiled all the Vedas. So you can come back, you can remember, you can come back to the original remembrance situation where you know that you are the eternal servant of Krishna. And let me tell you, I am the knower of Vedas. Obviously, when you are the compiler, you are the knower of the Vedas. You have compiled them. So understood this point, everybody? Correct, no? Free will is the key. Krishna does not interfere in anybody's free will. Sometimes some people say that free will is above Krishna also. So Krishna says, in that sense, yes. Krishna says, okay, yes, I'm allowing you to enjoy your free will, but there is a but involved. The but is pure devotees. They cannot see Krishna do it, or they cannot see living entities suffering like that. So they come down in the material world, and then they say you are, like Prabhupada says, no, you are rascal. You are a show bottle. So it is their mercy actually. The mercy of pure devotees becomes higher than the mercy of Krishna also. Krishna says, okay, Krishna is like a mother. Okay, you want to enjoy, okay, no problem. But pure devotees are like father. They keep chastising the child until he becomes perfect. So pure devotees or spiritual masters, they come, they chastise us. They say, no, you can't do this way. No, I want to enjoy. No, you cannot enjoy. These are the scriptures. You read them. You are the servant of Krishna. No, I still want to enjoy. Then they twist it. Okay, you want to enjoy it this way? No problem. They will add Krishna in there. So by some way or other, they try to bring the living entity back to their original remembrance situation. Okay, does that make sense, Smita Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. So what other thing comes to my mind is, so now that we know, okay, fine, this is also coming from Krishna, like, so we know that we need to overcome this. So then our path becomes bhakti. Then in that case, now that we are aware about this.
Yes. Huh? No, sorry, I missed your question.
So the question is like, yes, like people are, or the souls are unaware, like why they are in certain state. But once they become that, okay, this is because of what Krishna gives them, or that is
Ah,
Krishna's offering. So to overcome that, our path is to be in bhakti. Is that a resolution for this?
the aware part also, Mataji, not everybody is that path depends, no? So, for example, we are going towards Vrindavan. We don't know where the path is, but I start asking somewhere. So some people say you go straight. Now, to the extent I'm relying on your words to go straight, to that extent I will, you know, accelerate towards that path. So even though I'm aware this is the path, but to the point, to the extent I'm convinced, I will speed up my vehicle towards that. So even though the path is bhakti yoga, that is for sure, that is the conclusion. But there comes the part of remembrance and forgetfulness. So to the extent we are convinced, we start practicing, and to the extent we are convinced of Maya, we will enjoy sense gratification.
Hmm.
See,
Okay.
knowledge thing. That is why Krishna is saying Jnana Vijnanam. Jnana is one thing. We know. Vijnan means practice. When these two are becomes one, I to what I am know, I am practicing that. When it becomes one, then the babe becomes a pure devotee. Then there is no forgetfulness. Hmm?
Right, Prabhu.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
That is why in the previous shloka also Krishna is always saying Jnanam Vijnanam. Two things. Knowledge and realization both. This was an important shloka, so sorry I took some time here. The last part of our chapter, last essence of this chapter. Krishna says, Dwa vimo purusho loke charakshar chashar. Dwa imo purushe loke sharakshar iva cha shara sarvani bhutani kutasto akshar uchyate. Char akshar. There are two things here. So Krishna is talking about two classes, fallible and infallible, charakshar. So Krishna is saying there are two classes of being, fallible, infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible. And in the spiritual world, every living entity is infallible. So you see in the material world, as you see on my screen, the living entity undergoes 6 changes: birth, growth, duration, then there is reproduction, then dwindling, and then vanish, die. This happens with conditioned soul, right? So in the material world, we take birth, we undergo certain changes, these 6 changes, and then we get another body, then against these 6 changes, then another body, like that person keeps repeating. So from that perspective, the person is the living entity in the material world is fallible, because he is continuously changing his body. It's fallible. But in the spiritual world, the body does not change. Why? Because the body is spiritual. There is no change. There is no old age, there is no birth, there is no death. They are all exist in oneness. So they are all liberated soul. Understood? So we understood that so far in the previous text, we understood there is spiritual world, there is material world. Material world also has living entities. Spiritual world also have living entities. But in the material world, the living entities are always changing their position. So they are conditioned. Why they are changing position? Because they are because they have some desires, selfish desires they want to fulfill. So Krishna keeps giving them different bodies, and because they are getting different bodies, their situation is changing, so they are fallible. In the spiritual world, uh, the position is same. It's not like different bodies are given. One person becomes the peon, let's say, not peon, let's say one person becomes the servant of Krishna, which is in the position of Madhurya Ras, like one gopi. So position is same. Or let's say person becomes, charmer, or a fan. When we do fan of Krishna, so he gets the service, and he has to fan Krishna. So his service is now fixed. He will be eternally happy fanning Krishna. In Shantaras, some person becomes a bird, and the bird will sing nice songs for Krishna. That is eternal position of that living entity. Is enjoying in that later. In Shantaras, like trees. Trees are in Shantaras. So in the spiritual world, there are trees. So some pure devotees, they become trees in the Shantaras. They are also serving Krishna. It's not like they will fall down and then now they will get another body of bird. Not like that. So in the spiritual world, the position is same. In the material world, position keeps changing. So that is what Krishna is explaining here. But Krishna is saying, besides these two, fallible and infallible, there is a greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. So like we are saying, spiritual world and material world, living entities are here, living entities are here also. But who is maintaining all of them? Krishna is saying there is a greatest living personality. Krishna is saying there is the greatest living personality who is maintaining all of them. Okay, who is that personality? There is one beyond condition and liberated also, who maintains them, gives them all the facilities of enjoyment. Who is that supreme being? Now let's see what Krishna says. Krishna says, because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the words and in the Vedas as that supreme person. You see, there is a so first of all, Krishna is saying there are liberated and conditioned soul, the spiritual material world are there, and there must be someone, supreme being who is maintaining all of them. Then Krishna is saying that person is me. I am that supreme person. And then Krishna says, Yo mamev sammudho janati purushottama sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Krishna says, sarva bhajati means they worship me, they worship me, sarva bhaven, with all their bhav, with all their devotion, with full devotional service, they worship me, sarvavid. After knowing this, they are the actual knower of everything. So Krishna says, whoever knows me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without doubting, is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Why? Because asammudho. Sammudho means who is foolish. Asammudho means who is not foolish, who is most intelligent, who has no doubt. So Krishna is that person, Janati. That person is actually the knower of everything. Why? Because Purushottama. He knows me that I am the Purushottam. I am the person who is maintaining all the fallible and infallible living entities in both the worlds. So you can consider it like this. You get appointed in a company. It's the first day of your company, and you just starts working. But if you come to know that he is your lead or supervisor, and he is responsible to give your monthly check, and he is responsible to give you promotion, he is responsible to give you leaves and everything, then what happens? You start working for him. Your sole motto becomes what? Your sole motto becomes to somehow or other to please this person. Whatever instruction this person keeps giving, do this, that, do that, please work some hours extra today. We continuously start working for him. Why? Because we know he is the person who is responsible to give me my paycheck or promotion or everything. Similarly, when we know that Krishna is actually the cause of everything, then he is actually the knower. And what he does when becomes knower, he starts serving Krishna in full devotional mood, sarva bhavena. In the similar way, Krishna says, iti guhyatamam shastram idam muktam mayanag. Anag means sinless, the person who has no sin. Etad buddhva buddhiman syat kritascha bharata. Krishna says, this is the most confidential part. So what is the most confidential part? That we just discussed. That Krishna is the maintainer of both fallible and infallible. So Krishna is saying, this is the most confidential part of Vedic scriptures. O sinless one, Anag. and it is disclosed now by me. Okay, then what happens? Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know all perfection. So similarly, if a person goes into the office and instead of knowing who is my boss, who is a CEO, chairman, and anything, he just keeps working, then what would you call him? He's a foolish. He doesn't know who is he working for, whose direction he should be getting, whose instruction he should be following, who is his role model. He doesn't know anything. He's just continuously working. So that person will be called Vimuda. He is foolish. But the person Krishna is telling, the one who has understood that this is how the hierarchy is, Krishna is a supreme being and everything, then he will start worshipping for Krishna, and he will be considered the most intelligent persons. And in that way, all his endeavors will know perfection. And Anag, actually, Prabhupada was telling in Purport, I was reading one day, he was telling that only an Anag can understand Krishna. This Anag that has been used here. Which means unless we are even little bit are sinful, we cannot fully understand Krishna. We might be reading a lot of scriptures, hearing a lot of lectures, but until we are fully get rid of this sinful tendencies that we have within our heart, we cannot fully understand Krishna. That is why it said, pure devotees, they know Krishna as is. We are not yet fully pure. That's the reason we know little bit Krishna. But this is still better than the karmis. Those are part of the rat race, don't know where they are going. Krishna is saying in the second chapter, Bhogeshwara Prasaktanam Taya Pahachetsam. They are too much attached to sense gratification that they are not able to focus their mind on devotional service. Okay, so and how we can become Anaga? By our most best ways, chanting, increasing our rounds and stopping all the sinful activities. So we'll stop, no more sins, and whatever sins we have incurred, we get rid of them by chanting. Okay, I will stop here. If there is any question, comment, please highlight. Shweta Mataji, is there any question from your side? Yes, Neha Mataji, you have a
So yeah, I'm confused a little bit here. So the question is, what we go through in our current life is do our past karma or whatever the past karma in a past life. But then we also say this is what God wanted for us. So I'm trying to understand. It's not what God wanted it for us. It's what we did is what we are facing, or is it what God wants for us? I'm trying to figure out how does.
Did I say God wanted us to go through our karmas? Did I say that? I'm
No,
sorry.
that's what I'm saying. We generally say, oh, this is good for us. This is what God, Krishna thinks that this is what is needed for us, and that's why we are going through what we are going through. I'm trying to figure out where does what He wants for us.
Hmm. Yeah. Understood your point. Um, See, it's like this. The karmis, they don't know about devotional service. So it's like this. We have karma that we have incurred, which means there is action that we have already taken, and the reaction is yet to come. Okay. Now, reaction can come in two form. Let's say some who is just running behind his own sense gratification, and now this person has become a devotee. He is also carrying previous reaction of his actions. So far so good, Niyamataji. There is
Yes.
action, there is a reaction which is definitely has to come. Definitely it has to come.
Mm-hmm.
It is coming to karmi, it is coming to devotees also. Both will survive there. Now, in case of karmi, also this reaction will come. In case of devotee, also this reaction will come. But there is a difference. The difference is, in case of karmi, Krishna is not taking the responsibility. Krishna is saying, you have done some action, you have to go through this reaction. It's your choice, you take it. I am not responsible for this. Which means if there is a karmi person who is suffering or enjoying whatever it is because of his pious good or bad karma that he. Now in case
Okay.
of devotee, Krishna is saying, Sardharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja ahem tvam sarupapebhyo. Krishna is taking the responsibility there actually. Ahem tvam sarupapebhyo. I will take care of all your sinful actions. Ahem tvam sarupapebhyo mokshishyami masucha. Not only I will take the responsibility of your actions, but I will also give you mokshishyami masucha. I will give you liberation also. Now when he takes the responsibility, devotee has to go through the reaction of his previous karma, that is for sure. But now because Krishna has taken the responsibility, he will use those reaction if he needs to, only to bring the devotee more closer to him. So let's say there is a bundle of reaction that devotee is carrying, then Krishna will use out of those bundle. Krishna might be giving some suffering to the devotee,
Mhm.
but for the purpose of giving bringing devotee back to Godhead. And once he thinks that okay, out of these 100 reactions, 10 reactions are enough to make him now pure, he has become a pure devotee. Then rest of them all throw out, and the devotee back to Godhead.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense. So that is why devotee said Krishna is purifying you, it is Krishna's mercy. But in case of karmi, we don't say that it is Krishna's mercy at all. Why? Because he is running out of his own, he's running his horses, becoming his own driver. So let him drive. But in case of devotee, Krishna becomes a chariot driver and he runs the horse of the devotee, the chariot of the devotee.
Oh, one more thing. The test, can we send it by end of day today? I have just a little bit to finish the part 2.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. No problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So once again, thank you all for joining. We had a wonderful discussion today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.